Well, I hope you have had a great weekend. I have had an amazing week, and if you've been paying attention, which you probably have been, you've had an amazing week too. But I'm going to tell you a little bit more about mine because you see, I've spent a huge amount, who knows how many hours, over the last 7 or 8 days, listening to Larry Goldberg interview Kathy Wood, Chamath Palihapitiya and David Friedberg interviewing both Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent. Then next it was Tucker Carlson interviewing Steve Witkoff, then who is special emissary to the Middle East. But then there was also I'm sorry, who is also President Trump's frontman for discussions with Putin. Then there was a commentary from our AI guru in the White House, David Sachs, because that was, part of the All In podcast the other day, and listened to that entire thing. Then I also listened to J.D. Vance's speech before the American Dynamism Summit. That was, I think, on Tuesday. It feels like 3 weeks ago. And finally, there was an amazing BG2 podcast with Brad Gessner and Bill Gurley. Now, all of that together, I don't know how many hours that is of podcasts and broadcasts and whatever, but it was just fascinating, just fabulous. Now, you can go back and look at that list again, and if you've missed any of those, I'm highly recommending that you go back and pick up on any of those that you didn't listen to, because you will, I think, if you're like me, you're going to be blown away by these conversations because for a number of reasons. And so that's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about why I was blown away, what I learned, or what I think I learned, and what I think is amazing about our future based on what these guys were talking about. So let's start here. I don't think that, I'm pretty sure, not in my lifetime anyway, I don't think there's ever been a cabinet of this caliber. Nothing like this ever. Maybe in the world, but certainly in the United States. These are all business guys, highly talented, highly motivated. They've all are giving up time that they don't need to give up. They are all well-to-do. That's being made a big deal about. I don't know if they're getting paid. I'm sure not one of them cares whether they get paid or not. They are just giving. This is their payback. This is their giving back to America for the fact that they've been able to do so well in this country. Most of them, of course, born here, but I mean, some of them, I'm not sure if all of them are born here. Anyway, the point is, it was just they're giving their time. They're doing it because they love America. Then there was the transparency. And this was something, the transparency was so huge that it caused, I just kept going, I can't believe that they're saying this in front of us. I can't believe that this is not being kept behind closed doors. I can't believe that they're just laying out the plan. But over and over again, it's just like, no, this is what we're doing. This is how we're doing it. This is why we're doing it. This is how it all works together. Next, there was clarity of thought. It was the clarity with which they had, in their own head, understood their own path, their own category of what they're working on, whether it's commerce, whether it's treasury, whether it's international affairs, each and every one of them, there's so much clarity of thought. Then you get to continuity of the mission. This was something that was just absolutely amazing. Every single one of these people had the same mission. They understood the mission. They understand what Trump wanted. They understand where he was going. We'll talk about that more in a minute, but they got it. And they got it in such a way that they could communicate again, what they were supposed to do with regard to that overall mission. And everybody was on the same page. Then there was the intellect and the clear-cut knowledge that these people can execute on the mission. They knew their stuff backwards and forwards. Oh, sure. I mean, I'm going to guess there's like 6 hours of content there. I could probably go back to that 6 hours and nitpick this or nitpick that. And I'm sure that the Democrats will, and the CNNs and the MSNBCs of the world will nitpick something that was said and go, oh, yeah, see, they did, but no, their understandings, their ability to put their own executive experience, their own talents and knowledge, most of them older, so lots of wisdom from having been through the fire. These guys are giants. They're just giants. They have a history of making things happen, And they are currently, together with the president, making things happen at warp speed. Now, another thing that amazed me was that the tactics. So you've got the mission, then you've got to get the organization together. You got to make sure you've got the materials. You've got to make sure that you have everything that you need in order to execute on the mission. But now you have to decide, what are the tactics going to be? How are you going to go about getting there? And the reality is the tactics have clearly been well thought through, well in advance. Everybody has their what they need to do, but also how the group as a whole has decided the wisest way to go about, let's say, Gaza, or the wisest way to go about working with Putin, or the best way to address Iran. The tactics are clear. Everybody understands the tactics. They are up. They know the legal challenges. They know they're going to be challenged in the courts, which they have been. I think they're saying it's up to 100 challenges in the court so far, more than the entire time that Biden was in office. And why is that? Well, the left is just out to stop. They're out to resist, just like they were the first time around. It's a resistance. It has nothing to do with working together for the best betterment of the country. It is a democratic resistance. That's what they're about. And you don't have to take my word for it. I'm on the other side. Okay, I'm a conservative, but they said it's a resistance. And it's pretty obvious it's a resistance, because instead of having a discussion about what might be better, or asking for a place at the table, they're just going to court, going to court, going to court. No surprise. And the Trump administration knows that they will win most of these cases. They've got crackerjack legal people, crackerjack people that understand the workings of the Beltway, and they understand they will lose a few. Maybe some of them will have to go to the Supreme Court. Maybe they'll win, maybe they'll lose there. But they know that by and large, they're going to win most of these. Even the ones that go to the Supreme Court, they're going to get most of them. So they're up to those challenges. These guys are all winners. They're all people that are used to winning. They're not used to giving up. They're used to plowing through, going over, under, around, or through, whatever it takes in order to get to the other end of the goal. And if some of the cases they do actually lose in the Supreme Court, or decide to walk away from some of these cases, then they'll find another way to get the goal. Well, okay. These are also manly men. They are alpha, and they are all smart enough to accept that their roles, that their jobs, that what they are doing is in subservience to Trump. They're not trying to undermine him. They are at his mercy. They bring him the ideas and he says yes or no. Or they bring the ideas and they all talk about it and they discuss all the possibilities amongst the group. And then there's a decision that's yes or no, but it all comes down to the president. They know who's the boss is. They totally respect him. This comes through in everything that they say, every way that they do business. And they talk commonly about how much Trump is respected around the world by these leaders. That this is the big difference. This is the big deal. This is what's really working and will continue to work, is that Putin and Xi and just go down the list. I'm not going to go through the whole list of names. They respect Trump. They may like him, they may not like him, but they respect him. Anyway, in most cases, they have known the president for 20 or 30 years and have been through some stuff with him over the years. And to a man, they admire him. They admire his intellect. They admire his drive. They admire his game plan. They admire his overall plan to turn this country into in a way that the American public want it to be, and a way that they deserve it to be, and the way that's going to bring the best results for the entire population. So let's break it down into some of the things that I think I learned, or that I think that I have some understanding now of what the plan is. Let's start with Trump's Gaza plan. It will happen. It will take place. The Gaza plan of completely redoing the entire Gaza Strip. It's going to happen. It's going to have to work out the details. Everybody now is in agreement. It will take about 15 years to complete. There are details still to be worked out. But as far as these guys are concerned, it's going to happen. Number two, Hamas will disarm. They may continue to have a voice politically. This was brought up. Maybe they will continue to have some voice in affairs, but they will not have arms. They'll never have arms again. This is not going to be part of the deal. Number three, Israel has completely demolished Hamas and Hezbollah militarily. They're just done. There's nothing left. Serbia's new leadership is more positive towards Israel. So that only leaves Iran. Iran's all by themselves out there now. And Steve Witkoff believes that they will also come to the table. As you well know, the president has sent the Ayatollah a letter, and he has said, look, we need to, either we need to sit down at the table or we will take care of this militarily. We want to make sure that we have an understanding with you that is in the best interest of the region and of all the countries in the world. They also said that Putin is ready to deal. Zelensky is ready to deal. They believe that peace by Easter is maybe a stretch at this point, but that is the goal. And there's a huge effort underway now. Many people that are working on the details. There's a lot of details to be worked out, and there's a very large staff of individuals from all three countries and from Abu Dhabi, and from the country, I forget the name right now, who is being the helping with the peace process. So there's a chance we could see a full-on peace deal by Easter. Number five, Russia wants to be part of the world as an economic player. And interestingly, Iran, apparently they believe that Iran might also want to be, come back into the general economy of the world and be, just another, lovely place, another economy that's just, willing to play fair. Number six, tariffs will be mostly decided by April 2nd, with cleanup for a few weeks after. I heard that from multiple different sources. I did not hear this. This is not from my listenings, but rather from my sense of just paying attention. I think the car situation with regard to the big three, and by the way, Honda and others, I think this has all been worked out because the auto CEOs are not screaming. There's no coverage on the issue. I believe that is not, I think that's going to end up being a nothing burger. Will there be some tariff, some amount of tariff, something that's going to encourage companies to move back to the United States with manufacturing? I absolutely you can be sure that that's going to happen. But I don't think it's going to be something that's going to break the back of the U.S. manufacturers. I don't think it's going to be something that's going to be totally destructive to the economies of Mexico or of Canada. So we'll see what happens on that, probably again by the second. Number seven, steel and aluminum will be protected. That's not something, again, that was in these conversations. It did come up a couple of times. I'm 100% sure steel and aluminum are going to be protected. They're not going to back down on steel and aluminum. We need to make it in the United States. Number eight, the POTUS is number one. The President of the United States, Mr. Donald J. Trump, his number one goal is to restore the middle class. This is brought up over and over and over again. This is the core principle. Everything else springs from this idea that we've lost the American dream for those under 45. They feel that they're never going to get their own house. They're not going to get to a place where their children are going to do better than they did. They're just not going to their kids are not going to be able to afford school. All the things that are part of the so-called America, well, not so-called, so the American dream, people are feeling like, not going to happen for me. And I'm talking about the entire cadre of people from under 50, under 45, all the way down to people that are just coming into the workforce now. So that's something that Trump believes is critical. That's the most important thing on his agenda, is getting the middle class built back up. Number nine, fair trade. The key to this entire tariff thing is fairness. I think that I wouldn't have done it the way Trump does it, but who does? He's got his own style. I'm not sure that anybody was out to, mess with America. Sure, they might have been taking advantage of our kindness, but I think it really boils down to America was kind. Kathy Wood talks about this. Many of the people that I listened to over the week talked about the fact that America is too kind. They were too kind too long. And now it needs to end. It just needs to end. There needs to be fairness. And so that's what Trump is shooting for. Not he doesn't want to hurt anybody. He doesn't want, but the United States needs to have a fair deal with their trading partners. Number 10, respect for America. And that's kind of the flip side of the same thing. It's like, no, don't take advantage of us anymore. Don't play games. We need to be fair. We need to respect us. We are the largest economy. We're the largest military. We've been helping you for all these years. And now don't decide that because we're helping you, that you can, you know, take advantage of us when we're not paying attention. Number 11, we will be onshoring manufacturing and mining. This is very, very critical. We need to onshore all of the strategic minerals. We need to onshore not just the mining, but also the processing. We need to onshore the manufacture of strategic products in the United States, including pharmaceuticals and other parts of the strategic economy, as well as the military in terms of the strategic goods that we need. So that would include things like that will include things like pills. That'll include things like tanks and planes, but also, interestingly, one I would have never thought of, shipbuilding. So that's a big category for President Trump. He wants to bring shipbuilding back to the United States. Number 13, lower interest rates. Got to get the interest rates down if we're going to get to the American dream now. Remember again, 6% is the average, 6% mortgage is the average over the last over 100 years. So getting down to 6% would make it average. I'm sure that the president would like it to be under 6%. So therefore, he's going to need the Treasury 10-year to be under 4%, probably well under 4%, like 3.25%. But that would be fine. If we get down to a 3.25% Treasury, we get down to a 5.5, 6% mortgage. I think that will be enough to get things started. You know, I didn't put it down on this list. Let me just insert it here. Housing. Oh, it is here. I'm sorry. I'll get to it. Okay. Number 13. Oh, that was lower interest rates. So yeah, very next one. Open up government-owned properties to home building. There's all kinds of government property right in the middle of our major cities and our smaller cities. There's government property in our suburbs. There's government property, of course, out in the hinterland. But the government is going to open this property up, and then they're going to work hard with states and the localities to reduce all these amazing costs of building a home today, all the permitting and all of the requirements. And, we don't want to have homes that are dangerous or they're not well built, but it's gotten a little bit out of control. And so they're going to be working hard to get down to where our young people, people in their 20s that want to build a family can feel good about starting a family because they know they can afford a home. Number 15, merit. No more favoritisms for groups based on secondary biological characteristics like sex, skin color, birthplace, and all the rest of the silliness that we've been going through with the DEI and everything else. Those are all going to be ended, and you've already seen it. This is one of the places where the courts are really trying to stop the effort, but I don't think they're going to win because the Supreme Court has said you cannot hire, you cannot fire, you cannot promote, you cannot make your admissions policies at the university or anything else. You can't do any of these things based on these secondary characteristics. So that will be gone, and that's going to help, of course. Mainly what's going to help, quite frankly, is white, Asian, and Jewish men who have been discriminated against for the last 20 years. They're going to be number 17, lots and lots and lots of energy. Drill, baby, drill. But drill, baby, drill will be enhanced by nuclear, I'm sure solar. We've already got tons of solar being built all over the country, Texas, Florida, California, all leading in that area. There's going to be lots more of that, as well as the batteries. Elon Musk said the other day he thinks 90% of all energy will eventually be solar with battery. But we will have nuclear. We will continue to have natural gas. And at some point, oil itself may go away. Number 18, we will win the AI race. against all their other countries. We will be at the forefront of AI. We are now, we will continue to be, and this will be a strategic requirement. Our friend David Sachs, who's in charge of that department in Washington, D.C., he will be, when I say our friend, I mean, I don't know him. He's my friend because I watch him every week on the All In podcast. But anyway, David Sachs that's his job, is to make sure that the U.S. government is doing what it can to eliminate any barriers that the AI industry needs in order to stay on top of that game. Number 19, rid the United States of illegal immigrants, especially if they are criminals. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple of years, as once the criminal part of it is done, once that the ICE agents have done their job with their emphasis right now and their priority of getting the criminal element out of the country. And then they start to look at folks that have, to me, I would be looking at folks that have only been here for a year or two. I'd be working real hard on self-deportation, making sure that people that have only been here for a short while self-deport, and they give some incentive to self-deport, looking for potentially some more temporary work statuses for these industries that might be hurt right now, particular construction and agriculture. We may need more work permits. I could go on and on for that for a while, since I used to be a manufacturer in Southern California, so had lots and lots of Spanish employees. Mostly legal, as I found out after several years. A few had been able to figure out ways to kid me. Anyway, number 20, no longer tolerate any immigrants who hate the United States. They're just not welcome here. You come in on a green card, you hate the United States, you're gone. If you lie to us about that, you're gone. Don't come in and start fomenting riots and problems on campuses if you want to stay in this country. And if you're just going to speak out and say, yeah, I think that we got to tear down this country, or we hate Jews, I mean, you're gone. You're not going to stay. At least under this administration, you're going to be gone. Well, this tonight's program could go on, but I am going to end here with a quick look, as we commonly do at the end of almost everything that we do here, is where is Tesla right now? Well, up $6.67 on the overnight. All of the equity markets are up. The bonds are slightly up. Crypto is up. Bitcoin is up. So oil actually came down a little bit. So it's looking like a pretty good morning tomorrow morning. We'll see what happens, see if the overnights carry into the markets tomorrow. But until then, as always, it has been great talking to you.